What's up everyone, Mike Hill, the Wholesaling Titan. Today I want to show you how you can find deals on Hubzu. If you're not familiar with it, it's an online auction style platform where you can pick up some deals without spending any money. Last video I did, I got some good feedback, and it seems like people were asking how you can find motivated sellers and leads and do deals with very little or no money. So we'll probably be stuck on this topic for a little bit. But this video I'm about to show you, it is from, it's an excerpt, a lesson from my joint venture and mentoring program. Originally just for students, but I figured I'd kind of put it out there and see if everyone could kind of benefit from some of the stuff in there. Quick warning, just a couple things I want to mention. It is a little bit dated. I shot this video a year, maybe 2 years ago, so some of the stuff, if you go to the website, won't look exactly the same, but I mean, it's close enough. You can still kind of figure it out, right? Also, one of the main differences is in the past, Hubzu was set up such that you just needed an email to register. And so I kind of recommend in the video, like, make offers on everything. And then whatever you can sell, and whatever you can't, like, it just falls away. And then eventually you'll get your account banned, and then you just put another email address and start the process all over again. So one of the major changes that they've made that's not addressed in the video is that now you have to sign up with, you know, your full name, and it's like a credit style thing. So you'll have to put in your social security number, and you'll have to answer some questions, you know, about your past, about your credit, and so you register as yourself so they know it's you. So you have to be a little bit more careful. You can't just make offers on everything because, number one, now you're not just an email address, like they have you, you know, they know who you are. And then also, if you fall out too many times, you cancel too many contracts, they will ban your account. And then you have to wait like a 6-month period to start over, or you can get like a family member or something to, you know, log in and give you permission to make offers on their behalf. So what I recommend now, and if it's not clear, just, you know, again, shoot me comments or emails or whatever, and I'll try to clarify a little bit. And now I'm losing my train of thought. This always happens. So what I recommend now is basically to really monitor this stuff. Be very careful, you know, do a little bit more due diligence than I recommend in the video. Also, you'll find a lot of contracts do fall out, so you want to just kind of monitor and see what's coming back and put backup bids as opposed to just bidding on everything immediately. And then over time, you know, some of those deals you'll get some of those deals, but I guess it's due diligence. And you know, just kind of watch and be a little bit more careful with what you are bidding on. Also, you know, just in terms of wholesaling in general, I know wholesalers that do only bandit signs and wholesalers who do, you know, only mailers to probate, and that's sufficient for their entire business. You know, they really specialize in the marketing. With Hubzu, it's not something that you can run your whole business off of. The deals are just not that plentiful. A lot of times the spreads are not that big. So it's something where you'll get a good deal every month, every other month or something like that, but it's not going to be like, you know, the foundation of your business by any stretch. So anything else I want to mention here? Again, there's some stuff in the video, like I really want to stress this. I'm just showing you like how I've done it, but you've got to kind of make the decision for yourself. And what I mean by that is, if you're going to do this, you will be required to sign documents, legally binding documents, you know, saying you're going to purchase or whatever. That is your responsibility to read through that and understand it. If you don't, you know, get an attorney or whatever you got to do. But just know that you are responsible for what you sign, not responsible. You'll see in the video that I talk about, you know, I have in the past signed contracts to purchase as is, and then, you know, didn't follow through. I couldn't flip it and just let them go. And there are really no repercussions. Now, technically, could they start, you know, coming after you for earnest money or something like that? I haven't seen it. I have students doing it. I haven't seen it when contracts fall out. So that said, I'm just kind of letting you know to be aware of that. Like I said, I haven't seen it. It hasn't happened to me. I think it'd be very difficult for them to do. And again, some of the contracts are different depending on what how you're bidding and all that stuff. But just be aware, you're responsible for your contracts. So I think that's about it. I'm now going to splice into the original video. I hope you guys enjoy. As always, you know, ask me questions about any of this stuff. I'm happy to answer. And let me know what you want to see next, because I'm really like taking this feedback and trying to craft it towards some of the content I'll be putting out. And if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe, because like I said, I do have some cool stuff planned that I'm going to be putting out in the next, you know, couple days and weeks. So enjoy the video. Thanks again for watching. All right, welcome back, fellow wholesalers, titans, real estate moguls. I know you guys are busy, you are making offers, which is wonderful. And today I'm giving you another technique to add to your arsenal. Some very, very good stuff in here. I'm very excited. So let's go ahead and get started. Today we're going to be talking about making offers on Hubzu. So first off, what is Hubzu? Well, it's an online real estate marketplace where you can search for and buy properties online. You can bid via auction or you can make a traditional offer. And for the most part, we're going to be focusing on those auctions. And the platform, it's got a ton of advantages. There are also some disadvantages, and we'll look at all of those in just a second. But first, I want to give you a quick 2-minute history lesson. This whole thing starts with Ocwen. That's Ocwen Financial Corporation. They're a provider of residential and commercial mortgage loan servicing. It's one of the largest in the country. They provide services in all 50 states. I think they're like the 4th largest mortgage servicer. I mean, basically, they're a big player, right? They've been buying and gobbling up other companies for years. And then in 2009, Ocwen created the spin-off company Altisource, which is now a separate publicly traded company. And Altisource owns and operates Hubzu. And although they provide various mortgage and financial services, they also specialize in real estate owned and related business activities. And so that's why you can find a ton of bank-owned inventory here. So the URL to access is www.hubzu.com. This is formerly gohoming.com if anyone's familiar with that site. And then to get started, I'm going to go ahead and jump back into those advantages and disadvantages we talked about a minute ago. And we'll get started with the disadvantages. All right, so disadvantage number 1 is that it's easily accessible. Now, why would I list this as a disadvantage? Well, because it's online and so easily accessible, you get millions of investors, many of which who have absolutely no idea what they're doing, on this site, right? There are practically no requirements or very few to start bidding, very few barriers to entry. Like, for example, you don't need a proof of funds to submit an offer. And due to this ease of access, you just get more eyes, more bids, increased competition, which hyperinflates pricing. So, you've got more people bidding and the prices are just going up. A lot of people are not knowledgeable about the market, and it can, like I said, hyperinflate prices. So you get a ton of competition, which means that the good deals really are often few and far between. Number 2, you've got incredibly high fees. The first one is a technology fee of $299. That's just $300 they tack on there just to say, we're charging you $300 for being able to bid online. And then your buyer's premium, whatever that is a greater of $625 or 4.5%. And these fees are added on to your final bid offer. Number 3 is your deposit requirements, typically a little bit higher, the lesser of $15,000 or 3%. So let's say you're bidding on properties under $100,000. Oftentimes they're not insane deposits, but for the most part, you're not going to be getting those $1,000 deposits that we're used to seeing. Number 4, you've got little negotiating power. It's not impossible to ask for things like price reduction or any kind of seller concessions, changes to the contracts, but oftentimes your requests will just get flat out rejected. Number 5, a lot of the properties that are worth bidding on, the deals do not offer inspection periods. Next, they have high reserve prices. Oftentimes, a reserve price is close to ARV. If you're not familiar with the reserve price, this is basically just a price that's kept secret from the bidders that the seller sets that says, this is the lowest that they're willing to sell for. So let's say you run the comps on a property and it's worth about $100,000. The seller may start the bidding at $50,000, and oftentimes they do this to get more eyes on the property, to get more people bidding to incite this bidding war. But secretly, the reserve price may be $90,000. So let's say the auction ends and you are the winning, the highest bidder at $80,000. They still do not have to sell you the property because you didn't hit the reserve price, and they can just go ahead and relist it the next day. Now, oftentimes, if that happens, they will reach out to you before relisting and say, look, you were the highest, but you did not hit the reserve price. We'll sell it to you for $85,000. Take it or leave it. Number 7, poor customer service. This is probably some of the worst customer service you'll ever get. It's just very hard to get reps on the phone. Most of the employees are outsourced. They do work from India and they operate off of scripts. So it can be like dealing with a robot with a computer. If you're asking something, and it's not written down with a standard protocol, they're not going to deviate and they're not going to be able to help you most of the time. The 15-minute rule is something you just want to be aware of. It's kind of a pain. If you bid within the last 15 minutes before an auction ends, they actually go ahead and extend the end of the auction. So if you've ever used eBay, you know that you can just wait till 30 seconds before the auction ends. Go ahead, put your highest price in and steal the deal that way. You can't do that here. And if you do bid close to the end of auction, you do want to watch to make sure you're not outbid because they are extending the deadline. Number 9, very little buyer protection, little flexibility. And what I mean here is, well, first off, do not take anything at face value, whether it's pictures, the description, the property condition, the title, the occupancy status. You need to confirm all of these things for yourself. Don't believe anything that's on Hubzu. As far as flexibility, certain things, for example, if you have a buyer who would like the utilities turned on, it's just not going to happen. There's really not too much you can do with it. Also, a personal story I'll share with you. I won a property on Hubzu maybe about a year or two ago. It was in Hollywood, a good deal. I had a buyer who had just purchased something from me on the same street. Went in, he saw it, he liked it. We immediately went to contract, so I executed with the seller. I had a B2C contract between myself and the buyer. The buyer put up $6,000 earnest money deposit. I'm waiting to close. Great deal. Title company comes back and says, Altisource does not own this property. I didn't know what to do, but actually there was really nothing that we could do. They did not own it. My processor at the title company, it was nothing she could do. She hadn't seen this before. I reached out to my mentor. He hadn't seen it before. I was flustered. I was upset. This is fraudulent. How can they do this? What can I do? And really, I just couldn't do anything at all. The buyer was obviously upset, but he's got his earnest money deposit back. These things happen on this site. Just something to be aware of. So now that I've gone through all the doom and gloom, I do want to talk about the advantages. So a lot of advantages here as well. The first one is that it's easily accessible, right? So it's a disadvantage, yes, but it's also an advantage, especially for the new investor. There are very few barriers to entry. Like I said, you don't need a proof of funds to submit offers. You don't need to have a credit card on file. And this is very different from other auction sites like auction.com. I do not recommend using this site. As a side note, you do need to have a credit card on file to put down deposits when you bid. So for example, if you bid on auction.com, they're going to take a $2,000 non-refundable deposit, and these properties don't come with clean title search. So you either have to run a search beforehand and pay for it, even though you may not win the property, or you can risk, let's say, a $2,000 deposit, win a house that looks like a good deal, only to find out that there's a second mortgage, there's $500,000 worth of liens on the property. So very risky there. So you don't have that kind of risk on Hubzu. Next, there are virtually no repercussions for failure to perform. Now, as usual, I'm going to add a disclaimer. I am not an attorney. I'm not giving you legal advice. You are signing a legal document, which is binding. So technically, you probably could be held liable, but I have canceled more Hubzu contracts than I can count. Never seen it happen. Never even heard of a threat. Don't think they do it. The only real repercussions are if you cancel or fail to perform on a contract over and over and over multiple times, then they will cancel your account if you cancel too often. But remember that it is incredibly easy to create a new account. There's no social security number required, no credit card. So just go ahead, create a new email address and a new account. Right now I'm probably on my 7th or 8th Hubzu account. Vacant properties are incredibly easy to show. They're on lockbox. I can't give away my contact, but let's just say that if you get one of these under contract in Florida, I have connections that can get our buyers inside. Next, you can use your own title company. This is great because you can use your own title company not only for closing, but also as an escrow agent to hold your earnest money deposit. These deals are also incredibly easy to delay and stall on. You don't have an agent to speak to, which is just very convenient. Oftentimes, there are no deed restrictions. If we're doing deals in Florida, we're going to be using the land trust method anyway, but just nice to know, no deed restrictions here. And they're a lot more flexible with proof of funds. So for example, a lot of those free online proof of funds letters that are getting rejected by more and more sellers, oftentimes you can get those accepted on Hubzu. So who should use Hubzu? And the short answer is everyone, because you have nothing to lose. But really, this is recommended for people who really have a limited budget, have no money at all. It's a great way to get started with literally no money. And it's also recommended for co-wholesaling, especially if you're out of state. This is the easiest way to do virtual wholesaling. You just go on hubzu.com. A lot of times, a lot of these auctions here end at 10, so you make it a habit as part of your daily routine. Like I do, 9:30 every day. You just go ahead, you get on the website, throw in a couple offers. If you get something accepted, you send it to me. I'm here, I'm local, I have boots on the ground, I have my connections. I can send the buyers over there. We'll get them inside. It's kind of a done for you system. And then if they want to take the property, we will split the fees 50-50 when we close. And again, we're using the land trust method, so we do not have to pay closing costs. So great way to virtual wholesale here. So now we are going to go ahead and create a profile. Let's go ahead and jump over to the Hubzu website, and I'll show you how you can get started here. So here we are at hubzu.com. This is the home screen. We're going to just register and create a profile, possibly the easiest profile you've ever created. So just come up here to the top, hit register. What describes you best? Investor. Go ahead and enter your first name, last name, create a screen name. And what I'm going to suggest here is that you create a screen name that begins with W and ends with M for wholesaling with Mike, right? So you can create your screen name. And the reason I'm asking you to do that, as we'll see in just a moment, is that when you're bidding on properties, you can actually view the bid history and you can view the users. However, it will only show the first and last characters of the screen name. Now, the thing I'd hate to happen would be for two students, again, if we're all bidding in Florida, there are hundreds of thousands of properties. It's unlikely you'll be bidding on the same things, but it's possible. And I'd hate for two students to be bidding against each other and get into this bidding war to the point where we're pushing the prices up to a point where it's no longer profitable for anyone. So maybe if you see another student in the program bidding, you can just leave that one, go to another one, and perhaps come back. You can put a backup bid on it or something, and then reconnect in the Facebook group and go ahead and co-wholesale. Again, I do not need to be involved in this. I don't have to be a middleman. I encourage everyone to work together. I consider this a coaching family. So if you guys are networking with each other and making deals and splitting deals and co-wholesaling, that's completely cool. It's great, wonderful, and I encourage it. But I'd hate to see us going against each other to a point where nobody gets paid. So again, just an idea. If you'd like to do that, I think that'd be very cool. And then from there, your email address, create a password. Price range doesn't matter. You can change that up. You don't need the assistance from a local real estate professional. Hit register. You'll be asked for some additional information, your home address, and then you will be a live Hubzu registered member. All right, live member, congratulations, but check this out. Being a registered member does not get paid. So let's jump into making some offers. The first thing, I just want to highlight a few things on placing bids. Number one, realize that not all properties are deals. So we're going to do a quick check for value. Number two, stay away from traditional sales. You're just not going to find deals there. Three, I would stay away from occupied properties. It's just a pain and they're also very hard to show. And then obviously with that, we want to go for vacant properties. So let's go ahead and let's do some live offers. Okay, so here we are. This is the moment you've been waiting for. I am signed in. We're back at Hubzu. We're going to make an offer in just a second. Before we do, I just want to highlight that Hubzu is really a great and ideal resource for really zoning in on your target market. Now, if you go back to the membership portal and look in the bonus section, I've included a PDF report that I wrote called Copious Cash Buyers. And within this report is a section where I ask you to emulate, a great emperor or general in history, someone like Napoleon Bonaparte or Alexander the Great, Genghis Khan, and their strategy in which they would have a strategy and go into one territory with laser-like focus, with the full force of their army behind them, and completely conquer that area and then extract its resources before moving to the next. And then again, they would conquer, completely decimate the next territory. They'd recruit new members for the army, take all the resources, and then go to the next. And that's how I'd like you to approach your wholesaling, especially when using Hubzu, and especially if you're new to this. You don't want to just spread very thin and wide and try to conquer that way. Instead, you want to go to a specific area, find the cash buyers there, tell them you're getting properties specific to that area. You say, hey, I'm a wholesaler, I specialize in getting single family homes in Boca, I know you're buying here, let's do business. And then you go to Hubzu and you find all of the Boca Raton inventory, and you conquer that market. Then once you get a property under contract, you know exactly which cash buyers to take it to. Once you extract the profits from that deal, you have more money to put into marketing, into VAs, into your automation, and then you can go and add another target market and another and another, and that's really how you become successful. So when I go to hubzu.com, I'm going to start by putting in a target market. So here we are, Pompano Beach. Okay, and I've got my search results here. Now typically I am looking for single family. In general, in my area, 3 bedrooms and 2 bathrooms do tend to sell a little bit better, but I'm going to leave the filter alone for right now. 428 Southwest 14th Court. I'm going to go ahead and click on this one. I've already actually placed a bid on this one, but I just want to show you what the listing looks like here. So one good thing about Hubzu, they do generally provide some nice pictures for you to look at. So if you don't get a chance to go to the property, upon winning the auction, you can still have something to show your buyers. I will say, take these pictures with a grain of salt. Almost every time they make these properties look like they're in the best of conditions. You may see, a bathroom with the toilet looks great. The vanity, the sink looks fantastic. You think it's in great shape. And then right next to the toilet, there's a huge hole in the wall that they don't show, where the copper's been ripped out of the wall. Now you're looking at a $5,000 repair. So it's good to get an idea, but take it with a grain of salt. So this property, I looked at it the other day, it looks good, the kitchen looks good. Now what I want to do from here is, when I see this, the asking price is $140, I just want to have Zillow open in a separate window and just go ahead and take a look, not to run a comp. I'm not doing anything that complicated. I just want to see if I'm in the ballpark, right? So I come here, I see the foreclosure estimate's about 185. That makes me at least feel good. If you go ahead and scroll down, again, ignore the Zestimate, but you can look at the comparable homes, and not for sale, because people can ask whatever they want, but you do want to look at the recently sold, because this is actual data. Okay, so once we've clicked here, you can actually use the map view, just zoom in a little bit, and based on proximity, I can usually make an assumption to tell if another property is in the same subdivision. So I've got something very close here, 245, it looks very encouraging. If I scroll down a little bit, I see 195, 200s. So again, it's enough where I don't know the actual comp, the condition, but it's enough where I say, okay, this is worth putting an offer at 140. Now, if we look at view all bids, again, this is what I referred to a little bit earlier, where you can see the first and last characters of the username. So here are my bids. This auto bid system, I'll show you how to do that. It's very annoying. I actually don't use it because it's just one of those things that tends to bid prices up and just inflate prices to the point where nobody's making any money. The only time I recommend using it, if you know for a fact the auction's ending and you won't be at your computer or you won't be able to monitor it, then you can go ahead and auto bid. But other than that, if you're sticking to a routine daily and watching your properties, you should just be able to do this manually and hopefully not hyperinflate these prices. So that's there. Again, these are the different fees that we talked about. And I'm actually going to go out. I'd like to make an offer on a brand new property so you can see the full process here. All right, so we've got 1680 Northwest 16th Avenue. Now, just looking at it, I can tell this needs a ton of work. It is concrete block. I can tell by looking at it. There's no vinyl, those vertical lines going across, which is a sign of wood frame. Um, we can also see, here's another one we might take a look at. This looks very nice from the outside. Hot property, 3 bedrooms is always a good sign. The 193 looks a bit high for me. I can also see the reserve price is met, and it's 3 days away. So let's just go ahead and jump into this one here. All right, let's scroll through the pictures very quickly. So it looks a little bit dated, but tile floor is pretty easy to clean up. It looks very spacious. Okay, so definitely a rehab project. Now, 47, I mean, any way you look at it, it's probably going to be a decent price. So let's just do a quick look here. See if we can come up with any kind of value assumptions. So it's listed 65, foreclosure estimate 192. Now that's definitely off, but still encouraging enough where I'd say, okay, let me give this a shot. Proximity wise, this is the next closest, 165. Not too many comps in the area, but definitely worth it. So why not? I've got nothing to lose. So the first thing I'm going to do, let's view the bidding history. Just one user at 47. And generally, because I am on here pretty much every day, I might wait till the last day, so I'm not pushing this up too much. But for the sake of demonstration, let's go ahead and place a bid. Now, one thing I don't like about Hubzu is they make you bid in increments of 1,000, and they're always pushing you up. So let's say only one person's bid at 47, right? Now, what if I want to assume that maybe they cancel their contract or don't perform? I'd like to put my backup bid at maybe 40,000, but Hubzu will not allow you to do that. So they just tell you the next amount that you can bid up. It's annoying, but you just kind of have to go with it. So 48,000, there are my fees, $299 and $2,160 for a total of 50. If I'm not the winning bidder, hold my bid as backup 4. You can increase that. Enable auto bidding. Again, I don't recommend this. This is just if you're not going to be at your computer, you can't monitor, you can use this option. Okay, you are the buyer. You don't need to put an agent name. Have you toured the property? I always put yes. You should just put yes for this. In the past, I've wondered, well, if I'm bidding on 10 different properties in different cities, won't it flag me if I say yes? It won't. You can say yes. You have a better chance of getting your offer accepted. You're always going to put cash only. Some deals are cash only. Some offer traditional financing. Just put cash anyway. You agree to close in the shortest amount of time. I'll show you later why this doesn't matter. We can extend. But just to make your offer a little bit more attractive, we're going to put 20 days. Here is the sold as is and no inspection contingency. Most of the deals worth getting include that. That's fine. And then I encourage you to read the terms and conditions privacy policy on your own. And then you've got to agree and just confirm your bid. So congratulations, you're now the highest bidder. You can strengthen your bid with proof of funds. I don't recommend you do that right now. They will ask you for it when you win the property. So don't worry about this for now. And then just your bid summary here, and you're all done. And then if you'd like, under your, let's go back out here. So under your account here, you can see all of your bidding history. And again, the status. So if it was rejected, your outbid, fallout, expired, what. All right. So let's jump back to our PowerPoint. We're going to recap a couple of points and then we'll move forward from there. So let's just recap and highlight a few things about the bidding process. First off, you want to indicate that yes, you've seen the property. You want to make sure that it is a cash offer. Give the most favorable terms possible. So that's the shortest close date, 20 days. You also want to let them hold your offer as backup. This is favorable to you as well. And just be aware of that reserve price and also be aware of the 15-minute rule. If you're making offers within the last 15 minutes, just check to make sure you aren't outbid and that the auction isn't extending. So what do you do after you win? Well, first you're going to get a series of emails and we're going to go and look at some live examples. But first, just a couple bullet points of what to expect. You're going to get an email that's going to request your contact information. This information will be used to generate a purchase and sales agreement. So you'll get that next. Afterwards, you'll get any addendums, lead-based paint, things like that you need to sign. And now we're going to look at filling out the paperwork. So the most important thing here is to understand that you need to stall, you need to delay. I'll show you why and how this works in just a moment. Your proof of funds letter, how to get that in, and also you're going to indicate that you will be wiring the deposit in. They ask you for a copy of the cashier's check. Do not write a fake or fraudulent cashier's check. It's illegal. You will get in trouble. I'll show you how you can use this. Just say that you're wiring the deposit to stall and get your end buyer to put that up. So with that said, let's go ahead and jump into my email and let's look at some real life examples. All right, here we are, the home stretch. So at this point, you've won the auction, your bid has been approved, and now Hubzu is going to send you your documents. I'm going to walk you through those, show you how to fill them out, and get this thing to the closing table. Now, one thing I just want to point out, when we're making our traditional offers, let's say REOs, our inspection period, which is typically 7 to 10 days, that's the time we have to find our end buyer. During that time, our earnest money deposit is still refundable. Now, when you're dealing with most of these auctions, and especially the bank-owned stuff on Hubzu, you don't have an inspection period at all. But rather, you're going to have however long you can stall, however long you can delay, basically until they call you for your earnest money deposit to find your end buyer. So that's why stalling is going to be so important. So the first thing they're going to send you is a request for your contact information. Now they won't just send it once. They'll send it the first time, and then typically usually about a day or two after you've won. And then if you don't respond the next day, they'll say, here's a reminder. And the next day, they'll usually give you a 24-hour warning. And after your warning, they'll usually say, okay, you have a 24-hour grace period. So you may have 3 or 4 days. Just to be on the safe side, they don't always give 4 days. It really depends because you have different processors doing each individual file. But I'd say you can don't fill the first one out, but perhaps the second or third one you'll be okay. So you'll see here I've got the contact information request on the 20th of November. So I believe I skipped that one, and let's scroll up, and here's the reminder, contact information, and then here it is completed. So let's go ahead and take a look at it. And one really nice thing about Hubzu is that they not only accept electronic signature, but they encourage it. Unlike some other banks who don't accept it at all, HUD, for example, does not allow electronic signatures. They want blue ink only. DocuSign is free to sign up for. They'll generate an initial and your initials and your signature for you electronically, and it's as easy as clicking. So here, what we want to do, we're just giving them our contact information. We're looking at an old document that I completed a long time ago, so it's going to look a little bit different. Yours will have actual text boxes to fill out and check boxes that you can click. But what you want to do here, let's just scroll down. Your buyer information is going to pre-populate from the how you registered in Hubzu, so your name, email, address will come up. Your company name, if you're doing deals in Florida, you need to write it up in the land trust. So again, the address and then land trust. Outside of the state of Florida, if you're doing deals outside of Florida, you can use an LLC or your business, and then just click and it'll put your initials here. If you've got a co-buyer, enter that information here and then click to sign. And then this gets sent off to Hubzu, and they will use this information to go ahead and generate your purchase and sales agreement. So let's close that down here. Jump back into our email. Okay, and next, here it is. They've generated my purchase and sale agreement. Again, I just ignore the first one because at this point, even though you haven't executed and gotten the contracts back signed, they do take the listing off. It's listed now as pending, and no one else can get that contract. So you can actually go ahead and start marketing this to your buyers now. So it's essentially like your inspection period. So again, I'll ignore the first one, and then we've got a reminder here that's on the 22nd. Another reminder here on the 23rd, and then a reminder here on the 24th. So again, even though I said I'm going to close in 20 days, I'm already starting to really drag this thing out. And as you can see here, this is one of my emails where I'm advertising the deal to cash buyers. And then as we come up here, I've got a final reminder, and that's probably the point where I went ahead and filled this document out. So let's go ahead and click to see what this looks like. So here is the purchase and sales agreement that Hubzu is going to send you. Now you do need to go through this, read it word for word. It's a legally binding contract, so you want to make sure that you understand it. For the sake of the video, I'm just going to scroll through very quickly and highlight a few key sections. First off, the contact information. This is your document processor. They'll call you, they'll email you. That's the person handling the file. Again, read and initial every page. And then here, just want to pay attention to significant transaction terms and definitions. The seller is here. The buyer, make sure that it is in a land trust, so the buyer name is correct. Do not use Hubzu's closing agent premium title services. They're not looking out for your best interest. They're not providing clean title search or lien search, and you can get screwed very easily. There will be an opportunity for you to put our title company in at the end of this document. I'll show you how you can do that. And then you just want to make sure the terms are correct. So your purchase price, earnest money, technology fee, buyer's premium, and the total here. Make sure it's correct. Again, there is no inspection contingency here. And then there's very little that you can change. The contracts are not too flexible here, but just read through it, understand it. And if you just bear with me, let's scroll to the end here so I can highlight a few things for you.
All right, so when you get to the end here, you will have the opportunity to put in our title company. It's going to be Independence Title. This document was already executed, so you can't see that I can add the information, but on yours, will be a text box. You can just type it in. So you'll put in the title provider here, same closing agent, Independence Title here. All right, you want to make sure you do that. It's very, very important. And then you're just going to find some disclosures, some addendums. Here's our lead-based paint. And then when you get to the end, okay, so on your copy, again, this has been executed. There will be a checkbox that says upload additional documents. And this is to upload your proof of funds as well as a copy of the cashier's check. Do not upload a copy of a cashier's check. Instead, all you're going to do is you're going to email the processor and say, I will be wiring the earnest money deposit. And that's it. That's perfectly fine. That'll suffice. Also, you can upload the proof of funds. And as you can see here, this is a proof of funds letter I used in this transaction. This is the same as one of the free ones you can get. It does not provide a bank statement or anything like that. So it's very simple and it was accepted, no problem. I've used the same one on Hubzu many times actually. No problem there. In this case, they did ask for a copy of the land trust. Most times they don't, but very, very simple. This is in your materials. All you have to do is fill in a couple of text fields. You don't have to write one of these up every time. You can do it from your computer. It takes 2 minutes. And as you can see, as we scroll down here, I didn't have to have witnesses. I did not have to put the beneficiaries in at this time. It did not need to be notarized. It was just a copy of a land trust, which can be, very generic. And you can do it within 2 minutes. And that satisfies all the conditions. So once that's done, you just go ahead and send that off to Hubzu. And then they'll usually get back to you within a day or two with the fully executed document. And then from there, we just want to buy for time. If you're still looking for your end buyer, you're just going to continue stalling. So in this case, look, they're missing documents. Sometimes you can send the proof of funds letter, but maybe not send the land trust. Oh, I forgot this document. I'm so sorry. I'll send it to you tomorrow. As long as you stay in touch with your processor, they're not going to cancel your deal. And you can use this to stall and buy a day here, another day here. Oh, I'm missing a signature. Sorry, didn't realize I'm on a plane right now, or I'm jumping on a plane. I will send it to you tomorrow. And as you can see, there's some back and forth here, 29 emails going back and forth, another 23 here, and you can stall this entire time. So even though when we made our bid, we said 20 days, as you can see, this one started on November 20th, and here we are still working on it. It closed sometime thereafter, right after the 26th. So as long as we keep stalling, we have time to find our buyer. Again, there are really no repercussions. If we do have to cancel, just tell them if you can't find an end buyer, they're harassing you for the earnest money deposit, you can't put it up. Just contact them, say, look, I had made 5 backup bids, and the one that I really wanted just got accepted, so I can no longer go through with this. They'll send you an email telling you that your offer is voided. You're welcome to bid on the property again, but basically, if you screw them again, that they're gonna cancel your account. And as we know already, that's really not that big of a deal because you can easily go ahead and just make another account. So the takeaways here, number one, you want to be closing with our title company. If you're selling deals that are not located in the state of Florida, make sure you're using your own title company. Do not use Hubzu's title company. Also, if you're doing deals in Florida, they've got to be in that land trust. That way, if you've got these high earnest money deposits, 5,000, 8,000, something like that, the end buyer is putting up those deposits. You do not have to come up with that earnest money. So now we're really like at the point where you're ready to close, maybe a day from closing, and there's just one more step that I want to show you. So let's go ahead and jump into another series of emails here. As I said, I've got multiple accounts with Hubzu, so this is a separate deal that I did. It's under a different Hubzu account, and right before closing, what I did is request a price reduction. Now remember, when you sign these documents, you're signing them saying no inspection contingency, and I'm purchasing the property as is. Therefore, it's highly, highly unlikely that they're going to go ahead and give you a price reduction. Nonetheless, you have absolutely nothing to lose, so why would you not ask for it, right? And even if you get rejected, just by asking for it, and then they give you a form to fill out, by the time you take a day or two to fill it out, send it back to them, they take a day or two to review the file and say whether they're going to give it to you or not, you've bought yourself another 4 or 5 days, perhaps even more, to go ahead and find that end buyer, so you have nothing to lose. So the first thing you want to do is ask your document processor, say, look, I went by the house, it's in really tough condition, I need to request a buyer's repair request form. And they'll go ahead and send that to you. It is in your materials. I'm going to show you what it looks like. Let's go ahead and take a look at that right now. So here it is. This is the buyer's repair request form. Very, very simple 2-page document. It just says this form provides an opportunity for the buyer to clarify their repair request. Please specify the repair description thoroughly with the type of repair, its location, the approximate area or size, and approximate quantity to avoid ambiguity. Please fill in the details below. You'll just put in the asset number, the property address. Go ahead and fill this out, contract details, and then here you're just going to provide the repair description. Now the more detailed you can be, the better. The more proof you can show, evidence, the better. Here I wrote, property has extensive termite damage apparent in every room in the house. The house is framed. Actual termites can be seen crawling on the baseboards and around the windows. Termite droppings line the floors in each room in the house. There are holes and raised surfaces in the floor, as well as pinholes in some of the drywall. Tapping on the wood behind the drywall also feels hollow in several spots throughout the property. Photos are attached. Another really, really good repair description to highlight is mold. Anytime banks, a lot of these banks and sellers hear mold, they're much more likely to give you a price reduction. And then you just put in the area to quantify this thing for them, and a price. Now here's the thing, I don't know anything about termites. I don't know even really what they look like that much, how bad termite damage can be. I'm no expert. If you can get a GC to go in and give you a repair estimate, that's great. That's actually recommended. But if not, just go ahead and try. Put something in there, put a price, do some Google searching, see what these things typically cost, put it on the higher end, and then just send this in. You've got nothing to lose. The worst case, they say no, we reject you. You're not getting a credit, and you still get an extra 5 days to try and find a buyer. Now with this, what you want to do is provide as much evidence as possible. So in this case, I actually went to the property myself. It's within 10 miles of my house. I took a couple of photos to send along with this document. And for that, maybe 20 minutes of my time, 10-mile trip, I made an extra $5,000. So why would you not do this, right? So let me just show you what those photos look like. Let's go back here. Okay, and here's one, the wood looks damaged. Is that from termites? I have no idea. Does it look bad? Of course. And this looks to be some kind of termite droppings, and just looks bad, And if you're doing deals, whether you're in state, out of state, if you let me know, I can send someone, we can get someone in the property for you to take these photographs. You would take bad ones for the to send to the seller to try and get these price reductions. Take good ones to put on your website for your buyers, and a little bit of effort can really go a long way and make you a lot of money. So again, I just sent that repair request form in with these photos, and I got paid an additional $5,000 for doing so. So, I mean, that's pretty much it. It really is that simple. Let's just jump in and do a quick little recap and wrap this thing up. So now you know what Hubzu is, you know how it works, you understand the process and the documents. I just want to take this thing home, wrap up with how to win on Hubzu. So a couple points here really quickly. The first one, we talked about it, never use the own it now option. Not a good use of your time. Most of the times these are not deals. Next thing I want to mention, really, really important concept here, guys. This is why I saved it for last, but that is there is money in backup contracts. So check this out. When auctions are live, they're on the front page of Hubzu. They're getting a lot of views, a lot of looks, a lot of offers, and that's what tends to hyperinflate a lot of the pricing there. Now also understand, as I said before, low barriers to entry, a lot of inexperienced investors, and a lot of wholesalers who are trying to flip these things also. So when a wholesaler, for example, gets a property under contract, it goes into pending status. Now if they can't find a buyer, then they're going to have to cancel their deal. And then if you've placed a backup bid, then most likely, if you're the highest backup bid, it'll come directly to you rather than going back to the marketplace. When some of these properties are in pending status, they're getting less looks, fewer people are bidding, putting out backup contracts, so you have a much better chance of getting the property, without having to go through this bidding war that pushes prices up. So make sure you go ahead and bid on the pending contracts. I've done a lot of Hubzu deals, and probably the majority of them do come from backup contracts. Next, recognize that you need volume to make Hubzu work, but you just don't want to do too many at once. You'll get your account banned. You've really got to find the balance and spread your offers out. Also, with that said, just make sure you're making intelligent offers. Offer on things that people like. 3 bedrooms, concrete block is usually a pretty safe bet. Some winners there. And you don't have to run any kind of comp analysis, but at least copy and paste the address into Zillow just to make sure you're in the ballpark. So now with that said, the biggest thing that I gotta stress here is remember that watching these slides will not get you deals. Reading blogs will not get you deals. Understanding this stuff is not going to get you deals, right? You may spend all of your time on a website like biggerpockets.com. Don't get me wrong, there's a lot of good information out there, but there are just so many naysayers. There's so much negativity, and honestly, there's so much kind of amateur advice from so-called experts on there. They're basically there to tell you what you can't do. They're there to tell you there are no more deals on Hubzu. If you Google search or search on their website proof of funds letters, they'll tell you you can't do deals with a proof of funds letter anymore. You've got to have cash in the bank. They know how to do what they're told. And as wholesalers, we're making money. We're getting paid by being creative, by thinking outside the box. And when people say no, we're pushing forward. We're doing things, differently from what the masses say we can and cannot do. And that's why there's money in wholesaling. But I'm sorry, I went off on a little bit of a tangent there. But just know, if you're getting info from places like Bigger Pockets, it's great. But take it with a grain of salt, because a lot of people are just there to tell you what you can't do. And I can produce the checks used with proof of funds letters. I can produce the checks from sites like Hubzu. The deals are there. So you've got to just tune some of that stuff out. But again, I went on a tangent. The point here is reading and knowing is not going to get you deals. You're only going to get the deals by doing, and doing this stuff consistently. So now that you've watched this, there is nothing to wait on. You don't have to wait on it. I want you to go to Hubzu and make an offer now. Just make it right now. Even if you don't fully understand it, I'm here. You have my email. Send me an email, but don't procrastinate. Take action. I mean, this thing is going to take you less than 10 minutes. You can do it from your cell phone. You don't even need to be at a computer, right? So please go ahead, make an offer right now. If you have questions, email me as always. Let me know how it goes. Feel free to share your experience in the Facebook group. Thanks for watching, guys. Make sure you are taking action. Stay in touch with me. Keep in contact. That's how you're going to do your deals. I've got more great content coming for you. And thanks again for watching this. I look forward to seeing all of your Hubzu offers coming through very shortly.